Hi everyone, I'm Sonya Cook, founder and author of Seven Pillars Acting. I am so excited that I am with you, and we're going to have a chat really soon with three actors. Wonderful! Hello, welcome. I'm glad y'all are here. Yeah, I need to scroll and see everyone.
Hello.
So yes, we're just getting started. We have LaDonna here, we have Adam here, and this is a time to just to basically, I would love to hear from the three of you. So just a little bit of information for those who are unfamiliar about, a little bit unfamiliar about our Seven Pillars acting training that we have at LSU. But one of the things that I do is I train the grad students in Seven Pillars acting. And gosh, do we have a lot of fun doing that. We did that all last year. But they simultaneously can pursue a certification. And it's not required. They get the beginnings of it, but then it's up to them to continue to do that training and then to ultimately do the certification. And so Alana, LaDonna, and Adam are all three members of the cohort who have done that and have done great work. And they currently teach the beginning acting classes. So they teach Pillars 1 through 4 in LSU. And then the hope is that when they graduate, they can continue to teach the technique or whatever it is that they want to teach moving forward, you know, with that knowledge, that bedrock of knowledge underneath to support them. And I love to use the Instagram chats as a chance to talk to teachers about how they're using the technique in the classroom. But to me, a really active and interesting question is, how's it going on stage? You know, and when I saw you, the three of you doing this, I think it's a fantastic play, Operating Systems. And the production is fabulous. It is top notch on all levels. And I highly recommend people in Southern Louisiana to come up to Baton Rouge or come down to Baton Rouge, whatever you need to do, to come see this production because it's an important play. It deals with almost every subject that is important under the sun right now. It's very ambitious. Yeah, it's so super ambitious in what it's trying to say. And the story is so well told with the three of you and then other cast members who I know who are also fabulous, Carlos and Austin. So congrats.
Hi, Carlos.
Carlos is in here. Hello, Carlos.
Yes.
Carlos plays Danny.
Yes, and yeah, fabulous. So, okay, so first of all, and it'll be funny because there's three of you, I'd love to hear, what has the experience been acting in this part? You know, what have been the unique challenges about the roles? And what has been an opportunity for growth or discovery? I would just love to hear, what is the process? Whoever wants to speak first. And Alana, please go ahead.
Okay. I'll just off the top really quickly. It is both a challenge and a gift to be able to work with LaDonna and Adam in this part, my part specifically playing Belle, because, you know, in real, like, obviously we've been working together since August, whatever, 2021, you know what I mean? Like pretty much every day consistently. So we already have that chemistry, you know what I mean? Like we already had, you know, an upper hand as far as that goes in terms of having relationships with one another. But at the same time, the relationships in the script are much different from what they are in real life. So that, you know, the fact that we are so comfortable with one another made that, I think, a little bit easier to adjust to the difficulty of the circumstances of the relationships in the script. So off the top, I can just throw that out there. I'll popcorn it over to one of them too.
Yeah, and just I can try to explain it without giving away too much. You know, there's a relationship in the workplace that I think the primary relationship that we observe is the one between Belle, Alana, you play, and Benita, which you play, Donna. And it's brought into direct conflict when there's an act of SA, right? by Adam's part, Stephen. So who is the CEO of the company that you guys work for. And that basically the play seems to deal with the fallout from that action. Is that a fair, vague summary of the story? Am I missing anything major?
I would say that's pretty much the crux. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, LaDonna. I just saw you start to speak.
No, I was saying that is definitely pretty much what it is, and how this person in power, has been able to manipulate circumstances. But to go back to your earlier question, what I have found interesting about this character is that she has all these different dynamics with every other character. And so something that I didn't anticipate is the words are different. The language becomes different, just by the script, but by the circumstance with these different characters. So the way that I would prompt this circumstance with Belle, right, who's played by Alana, my circumstance language is going to look different because of the different dynamics in this space, right? So with it being in this workspace. So that was something that I found interesting and challenging, but also pretty fun as well, to be like, well, I'm in a workspace, and the circumstances that I'm creating for these different characters are extremely different. The language of that is extremely different. And that wasn't something that I had anticipated, but something that I eventually found pretty fun to play with.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I think I have a specific question for you, Adam, because what I liked so much was seeing you play a part who has a lot of status.
Mm-hmm.
And you have your own natural status as a person, but you don't like walk in the room playing like super high status. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're a very humble person. And so it was great to see you do that. But what were the things that you did in particular to elevate your status? And maybe were there certain tools that you used in order to bring that to life in your body?
I definitely wanted to understand fully the circumstance of every time I was on stage, that of what was going on with the relationship between myself and the other people in the room. Like, were jobs at stake? Was the company's future at stake? So that urgency to play on that, the circumstance of like, things are not going to go well if they don't go the way I need them to go. And also like the opposite, like things are going so well that I'm going to keep an excitement going. So knowing that like there's a responsibility to keeping that going and having it exciting was something that I was always playing. And I think the big thing I like, having this definitely helps. I don't wear suits often, so the clothes just and the posture was something that I was working on too, of like, making sure that even though maybe not well or being might use of me, I show them that things are calm and control. Like, I want them that I'm in charge. So that I out to be a physical manifestation of like how I want to stand and have the posture to like express myself in a controlled way, even though internally I'm freaking out or having an explosion on the inside, if that makes sense. So definitely always think about where's the future of this company going, and if someone's getting in the way, they need to either adjust, need to get out of the way. So
that's good. Okay. And there were just a couple of times where the Wi-Fi was a little bit funny, so I couldn't hear everything perfectly. Could you hear it well, Alana?
I heard a little bit of spot. I think I heard everything that mattered, but
yeah, that's good. But something that reminds, Brett and I were talking about this after the show, that it was also fun to watch you have fun, because I think that's also a part of the what status can do. Is you have a lot of burden of responsibility, but it feels like the women in the play carry that burden more than you, and that was demonstrated a lot by the joy and the lightness that Stephen has. And that was, I think, really well demonstrated. Do you feel that too, Alana and LaDonna, that in a way you both carry, I mean, especially LaDonna as Benita, the new CEO of the company, you're feeling the weight of this entire establishment,
Yeah,
absolutely. And I think for me, Carlos mentioned something really important one day in rehearsal, which was that, or maybe it was when we got interviewed by The Advocate, it was that this play demonstrates trauma, but in a way that's accessible. So like not, and they made the comparison to 13 Reasons Why, right? Like that triggered myself included, you know what I mean? That triggered a lot of people. It was very graphic, with no, disclaimer that first season. So that really resonated with me because for me, in order to justify the lengths that Belle goes to with this issue, Belle has to be a survivor. Like Belle has to be a survivor. And she mentions, abusive relationships. She doesn't mention specifically what that is. But so for me, like I really had to kind of create more past circumstances and global circumstances that really warranted that action and that really necessitated the outcome, Belle's ultimate outcome of the show,
I'm glad to hear that. So I think one thing that the three of you have already mentioned a lot, and it's a big part of, I think, the work that we do is just this focus on circumstances. And for those who don't know, we go into tremendous detail in what is the difference between a global or a potential or a past or a present or a previous type of circumstance. But it seems to me, just hearing you say this, and we have not had a chance to talk about this, your process at all in the show. It's great to hear that pillar seems to be really helpful in crafting. And I think also another important thing, because this is about trauma, this play is about that and about survivors,
right,
is making sure that that's safe, making sure that the work is healthy.
Yeah.
Do anyone here feel called to address how you made sure to keep it safe and keep safe boundaries while also, for me, still going really deep?
Yeah.
And being super specific. So we don't have to shortchange the catharsis that we want our audience to have, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, making sure that you're stopgapping, right, by using tools in an artful way so that you can come out of it and feel empowered by the work, not brought down by it.
Yeah,
right.
That's it. I think something for me, playing a role of who is the violation, the doing the harm.
Yeah.
Learn pretty quickly is that Steven, I'm not really aware that it is bad. Like if I started off kind of going in with like, oh, I'm doing this and I'm aware of like its harm, it wasn't working for me personally, and I also just felt like it wasn't really honoring where the character was coming from. So I just had to really, it helped me my own self of like accepting that this behavior can happen if I'm doing it in a way where I think I'm actually doing the person good. It's my intellectual logical self says like that's ridiculous, like it's not, but to come from that place just it helped me understand the role more and come at it from a earnest and loving way, despite that it is wrong and it's harmful to the other and even to him. But
Adam, I think that's great. I'm actually taking a class right now, and one of the things we're talking a lot about is how the unconscious bias that we have can seep into your work, and there's a lot of opportunity for you to have not just unconscious but totally conscious bias against your character.
Yeah.
And unconscious bias is particularly surreptitious and sneaky, and it gets into your choices if you're not careful. And so it sounds like you had to do a lot of intentional work to make sure you were on Steven's side, because no one else is going to be.
Right.
You have to be on Steven's side.
Right.
you know, in order for us to see a character who's interesting to watch, right?
Mm-hmm.
LaDonna, do you have thoughts on that? You look like you do.
Yeah, I do actually. So my thought on that was, it's an interesting, for my character, you know, she reveals ultimately she's also a survivor, but I had to play with that battle of I had to make my present circumstances larger than my past, right? Because as people, if there are things that we bury, especially trauma survivors, we bury those things intentionally. So I had to think about what's a way that Benita can act as she buried those traumas and be present and not be able to lend a limb, so to speak, out for Belle when she's coming to her, and to really shift in her mind. So then I had to create a stronger objective of what I wanted, right? And so my objective became that I wanted to protect, you know, the students who were there, but the way I wanted to protect them was completely up to me, even though they came to me and told me what they needed. Belle was the advocate for that. So that became an interesting thing for me to say, these are my past circumstances, but I almost have to bury them in order to focus on my objective more and my present circumstances more.
God, that sounds like such a female choice. Do you know?
Yeah.
I can only speak from that perspective, of course. I'm not saying it's not an experience that others have too, but it does feel particularly female, do you know? Yeah. And, you know, I think that's, and we see that. And what I like about your part, Benita, and that revelation of the truth at the very end is there's probably a lot of people in the audience who are on your side the whole time of like, there might be people in the audience who are like, why is Belle making such a big deal about this? Mm-hmm. Right? And they're likely in the same position as Benita of having had to suppress their events in their own lives. So it's, to me, that's sort of like the secret potency of the play, is it can cause the audience to go, oh my God, have I been... Uh-oh, we lost LaDonna. LaDonna, I'm sorry we lost you. Try to get back in, okay? But you'll follow what I'm saying. Like, a really powerful thing can happen with that cathartic moment at the end.
Yeah.
So I have another question, and it's funny because LaDonna and I were talking about this. And I think it's very relevant for performers, especially those of you who are in training, but then also performing at a high level, which you are, is how do you let it go? How do you get up there and go, F it, you know? And I'm just going to be in the moment and I'm just going to surrender. Like, how has that... Hey, you're back.
I'm back.
She's back.
LaDonna, I was just asking a question that you and I have already begun talking about, which is, it's hard to let go and just play, especially when you're still in the learning curve. You're still in grad school. You're learning tons of things. You're inundated with feedback about yourself. How are you letting that go, you know? And or is that maybe something you're still struggling with? Where are you on the journey of like the ultimate final step that you have to take as an actor?
I think for me it really varies day to day, you know, like it really varies with Alana's present circumstances, you know what I mean? But I think for the most part, you know, putting on some music, like before the show, you know, when it's 30 to places, putting on some music, dancing it out, you know. I mean, at least for me and Benita, for the opening, for our first scene, it gets to be a fun, high energy place, you know. We're not coming in on a dark note. So really, like, just being there. And maybe, I think it was the night that you were there, Sonya, like something happened in one of the scenes that wasn't supposed to happen.
Really?
Yeah, I think when I said I really need a drink, that's not in the script, but like, I was just so there and like, wait, you know what I mean? Like needing that drink as Belle, that it just slipped out of my mouth. So, you know, I think it did get a giggle, but
It did.
other than that, you know, just doing your best to come in a good headspace, loosen up the body, play your favorite music. You know, I was playing some NSYNC and Spice Girls the other day. And just being there, you know, and just connecting.
Easier said than done, you know.
Definitely.
What does it mean to just be there, you know? And but I always love music. You know, I love music.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
as a tool for getting out of your head. So
Yes.
I love
And
that.
again, like with Meisner, it's just all about what am I getting from my partner? You know, that's I just try to give 1,000% of my energy to my partner, because when I start thinking about myself, that's when things, you know, fly off the rails. So yeah, that's really all I can do.
Adam, LaDonna, any insights onto that, since you're right in the middle of it right now?
Well, I would second Alana's, you know, emo prep. Like before I go on stage, I'll have imaginary conversations with whoever I'm talking to when I get the news about, you know, the good news I bring to Benita, or when I find out that Belle is on campus and she's in the interview. Like I'm talking to that person in my mind backstage. So that's definitely one thing. And then again, what Alana said, like that Meisner work, but also like the contact pillar that you introduced to us a year ago and that we're teaching in our classrooms now is just simply asking in the moment, what is she doing right now? What is happening right now? Like, forget the lines, forget what I'm supposed to say. Like, what is literally happening? Are they mad at me? Are they upset at me? Are they excited? Is the information relevant? Is it exciting to me? Is the wine tasting good? Just really sinking into like kind of that Stanislavski, like focus on the here and now and all that contact really. And like Alana said, things change, you know, like yesterday, you got to trust what emotions come up. Like there was a bit of anger in this one moment that wasn't there before. And I, instead of denying, it's just like, well, that's what happened. That's where I'm at. And that's what's going to be expressed in this moment, you know? And so it's kind of back to what you were saying about honoring your character, not judging them, not judging what's coming up in the work and in the moment of the show and just having that fun with it. So it's challenging though. You're not always in the moment. I got to admit.
It's hard to be in the moment in life, right? You know, it is. So it's obvious, right, that would be a hard thing you have to really cultivate that. You have to practice presence, you know, in life so that you can do it better on stage. LaDonna, any thoughts on this?
Well, similarly, you know, to both of my colleagues here, first of all, I was in a place to where I was feeling so overwhelmed and so stretched, right? And I realized I actually had a conversation with Adam, and, you know, he gave me a very good tip, which was, you know, that's also what your character is feeling. This weight of the world is what my character is feeling. And I don't think that I had ever been in a position to where things were going on in my life and things are going on in my character's life that were so parallel that I couldn't distinguish between them, right? And so the moment that I changed that thought process of, you know, there's a weight of the world that is happening here on stage. And, you know, so what I had to do was realize that not only am I, and this is a tool that, you know, Alana says all the time, just F it, right? So not only is LaDonna, the actor, saying F it, but Benita is saying F it. Like, I can't worry about the weight of this world. I just have to be here, present in the moment. I have to have a clear intention, clear objective as to what I want in this moment. And that was very helpful. And so prior to coming into my scene, I'm already thinking of my previous circumstances. I'm already piping myself up, as Alana mentioned, for our opening scene, of I'm about to see Belle, you know, I just got her resume and I can't believe she's applying here. Like, this is exciting news. And so I'm just really just living in that world, noticing it, but also staying present with the fact that I'm about to go have fun on stage. So there's this constant shift of that. And I think once I put that in, it allowed me to feel more grounded in what I was doing.
I love to hear, I so agree with this, like emo prep or previous circumstances or anything you do in that warm up is so helpful to getting out of the head, right?
Yeah.
But I also love hearing what you're saying, LaDonna, about endowing whatever it is you're feeling in your life into the character. Almost anything. Like, even if you're feeling great and you feel super present, you could totally put that on Benita. Being totally present and confident in what she's doing. And it only helps if you just honor 100% where you actually are.
Yeah.
You know, and anchor into it. Say yes to it. I'm scared. I'm scared out of my mind. You know, because sometimes that is the day. Sometimes that is the day. And whatever your truth is, it has to be right. It has to be, because it's living inside you in that moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I love hearing that. Well, I promised that I would keep this short so that everyone can go on and enjoy the only day off that you've had in probably a very long time, and I recognize that. So can anyone share where people can get tickets still? Does anyone have the information at the ready? Adam, go ahead.
Just unmute myself. Yeah, so you can go to lsu.edu/cmda/theater on the website there, and you can also call 225-578-3527. And I'm sure everyone watching here knows us personally, so you can just reach out to us on Instagram. You can text us or do the old school way and call us. But we have a show this Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then our final show on Sunday. The Sunday show's at 2, and all the other performances are at 7:30 at night. So plenty of space available. We would love to see everyone there. That's down here in Baton Rouge.
And y'all, the production is beautiful on all levels. Everything from performances to sound, to lighting, to sets, to costume. Everything, like I said, is like at the top level. And so it's so nice to see something done. It's such a generous thing that we get to watch when we go to Swine Palace. You know, for us is down the street. I hope people will come further and see the great work y'all are doing. Thank you so much for chatting with me. And I hope those watching got something out of this. And yes, we are all open to continued questions. And break a leg tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sonya. Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you so much.
I loved it. Have a great rest of your days.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I don't know how to end this, but I'm going to figure it out. Okay, thank you everyone for watching. And I am going to close this.